20th of June, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Good morning. Okay. Welcome back to everyone. Welcome to Phil. Good morning to Phil.
Good morning.
With this case, we got one more thing the Gemara wants to say. We are up to the Amre Lo. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. 6 lines from the top. First word in the line is Vishma Mina. Shegeg Nami Konis.
In the art scroll, it's on the 95B1 on the left-hand column in the middle. The Gemara rejects the proof.
Okay, Roy, you want to read this last line of the Gemara on this section?
So I'll see what I can do there. Amre Lo, they said no. Bilokeach Talmud Chavom Achochem V'yoda. It might be that we're dealing with a buyer who is a Torah scholar and he knows that land cannot be stolen. And then the article has several lines of explanation, and then it goes on. The Gemara resolves the inquiry. Tashema, come learn a proof from the following Mishnah.
Oh, one second. We need to learn we need to know what the answer means.
Oh, all right.
Toshma is already Gemora is now trying to make some other proof. But at this point, the Gemara has rejected a proof. So, what exactly is the difference between whether the person is a Talmud Chacham or not? What does that have to do with the proof or disproof of this answer that the Gemara is giving? So, does the art scroll make any explanation about that? Rashi doesn't. There's no Rashi here.
Yeah, okay. So the art scroll goes on and says that we might be dealing with a buyer who is a Torah scholar and he knows, and then it says that land cannot be stolen. Thus, when he bought the stolen land and improved it for himself, he knew that he had not legally acquired the land and that he was therefore using somebody else's property unlawfully. Some Torah scholar. Hence, it is.
Well, how is it that he's supposed to know that the land doesn't belong to the person that he's buying it from, though?
I don't know, but he does know, according to the art scroll. So anyway, hence it is.
I'd like to know.
Hence, it is possible that Reb Meir imposes a penalty only in such cases where the buyer acted deliberately. But where the buyer acts inadvertently, perhaps Reb Meir does not penalize him. And then the Gemara resolves the inquiry. Goes on.
Well, so what's happening over here is that the Gemara is saying that this person is not a shogeg. That's all. We don't have any proof that the penalty that Chazal imposed upon a Gazlan b'shogeg includes the not only giving back the property, but also any appreciation that he caused to the property. Maybe, in other words, maybe in such a case, there is no penalty if he's a shogeg, because we're saying over here, in this case, where we see that he has to pay back the appreciated value, so he doesn't benefit at all from the gezel, is because we're talking about someone who knows that the land cannot be stolen, and so he knows that he's causing appreciation to someone else's land. So perhaps if the person was an Amaris, he doesn't know that, so maybe the din would be different. That's what the Gemora is saying, and therefore we have no proof.
What did we say about?
Oh, 1 second. Maybe Tosus is asking my question over here. The top Tosus.
Mm-hmm.
What, Roy? What did you want to ask?
I was going to say we said that the improvements when the land goes back to the original buyer, it goes back with the improvements.
That's what we see from this case.
Beg your pardon?
What we see from this case that the Gemora is talking about is that the buyer from the Goslin in this case is giving back not only the he's giving it back not only the land but also the improvements that he made on the land.
Right. So
that's why he's now able to get reimbursed from the one who stole the property and sold it to him from both the value of the property as well as the appreciated value that that was taken away from him.
Mm-hmm. That's in the case of inadvertent purchase, but not.
Well, the Gemora is saying that it wasn't inadvertent at all. The Gemora is saying that he knew that land cannot be stolen.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is that there's a point before that. How does he know that he's buying the land from a Goslin? Maybe he thought that the land that he's buying belongs to the person who's selling it to him.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right. So why does it say up here then, from the art scroll that immediately after the prosecutor says they said no, it might be we're dealing with a buyer who is a Torah scholar, and he knows that land cannot be stolen. Ah, I see. Right. Okay. It doesn't mean. Oh no! No, he knew it. He knew. Just when he bought the stolen land and improved it for himself, he knew that he had not legally acquired the land, and he was therefore using someone else's property unlawfully.
Right. So really, in that case, it has nothing to do with the Knas of the Chachamim, if so. That means, according to Torah law, since the land cannot be stolen, he's improving the land of somebody else's land. So we're not even talking about a case of a Knas. According to that. Gemora's question was, assuming that he's made assuming that there's been a sale and a shinu reshus and a yeush of the original owner, so then this buyer owns these items that he's buying, and the only reason he has to give them back, together with the appreciated value that he appreciated it, is because of the takon of the chachamim that he shouldn't benefit from buying stolen items. But in this case, when the land is when the item in question is stolen land, well, the Torah says that land cannot be stolen. No such thing as stealing land. It always remains with the buyer. Well, I'm sorry, it always remains with the original owner.
Unless he sells it legally.
So
So in that case, if he did it deliberately, then he gives back everything, including the improvement. But I'm reading now from Art Scroll, but where the buyer acts inadvertently, then perhaps it says here, Reb Meir does not penalize him. So that means it probably that he gives back the land, he keeps the improvement, and he gets reimbursed from the thief. Gives back the land to the original owner, gets reimbursed from the thief. The thief gives him back his money, and any improvements he can keep. Is that right?
okay. Improved value he'd be able to keep, we would say. What would we say in that case? We wouldn't say that he has to give it. Wouldn't say that he has to give it back.
So next page.
If the buyer doesn't know that if he does know that the land that he bought does not belong to the person that he bought it from, then he's returning the sheva. That's what it says over here. If he does not know, or if he then he could keep this. I want to say he could keep the sheva.
So going back to 95A, just the last line or so, is a case where one stole a field from his fellow and sold it to someone else, who then improved it, and it now leaves his possession as is in its improved state by a court order to restore it to its rightful owner. And the Beresa rules that when the buyer collects compensation for his loss, he collects the principal even from sold property, but he collects the improvements he made only from unsold properties. Now, if the buyer is collecting the principal and improvements from the robber, we see that the original owner of the land comes and takes from the buyer both his land and his improvements. That is the land that he bought and the improvements that he made. Now, are we not dealing even with a buyer who is an unlearned person who doesn't know that land can be stolen or not? And even so, the original owner of the land comes and takes from the buyer both the land and its improvements. Thus, you can learn from this that even when one acts inadvertently, Reb Meir also imposes a penalty.
Why is it called inadvertent? He knows that the person, he knows this person's a goslin. He knows he's buying something from somebody who's a goslin. But he
doesn't know he's a goslin.
Difference between him and a Talmud Chacham. They don't know that this person's a goslin. Clear from the Gemora that the difference between the Gemora's proof and the Gemora's rebutting the proof is because the person who's the Talmud Chacham, he knows that it's not possible for land to be successfully stolen, meaning that it always remains in the legal domain of the buyer. But even in the case of the Amma Aretz, when the Gemara thought in the Havamina that they had a proof, we were talking about the Amma Aretz who knew that this person that he was buying from was a Muslim. But what he figured was that since the Goslin stole it, and now he's selling it to me, and the original owner is gonna give up hope on being able to get his land back. So now he's got Yeush and Shini Rishus, and like that, he's figured he's going to be able to acquire the property. He figured like that, he stole it fair and square, and now he's improving his own property.
Except that the Sanhedrin says you can't profit from your theft, from your crime.
Well, he's not the one who stole it from the owner, though. He's a buyer of a Goslin.
Well, if he knows
he bought it from a Goslin, but he does know that the person's a Goslin.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a different matter then, isn't it?
So in America, there's an act called receiving stolen property. So what's the halacha? Is it an avera to receive stolen property?
Of course it is. Gemora doesn't need to tell us that.
So he's still done something wrong.
Of course he has. It's a very strange Gemora. I don't know why the Gemora. In other words, according to the Gemora's proof, the Gemora thought that this person, because he is an Amma Aretz, he would be the one that we would make the penalty against. Perhaps what the Gemora thought is that it's
we have this happening to our telephone, our ordinary telephone. From time to time you're talking and all of a sudden it goes off.
Yeah, I have problems with my telephone also.
Hmm,
The reception in my home is not good.
hmm.
The walls block the radio waves, I think. Chart the different cases.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, I think we really have only, we have one scenario. The land is stolen and the thief sells it to a third party. And then the matter is discovered and the third party returns the land and the improvements to the original owner. And he then sues the thief in court to get back the land and the improvements. And-
That's if he does it shogeg as inadvertently.
What?
That's when he does it inadvertently. He buys it innocently.
No, not necessarily. There's two subcases.
We've got,
One is where he knew, and one is where he didn't know. Actually, there's four subcases, because there's the factor of whether he knew or not. That yields two cases, and there's the factor of whether he was an Amin arts or not, and that yields two cases. There's actually four cases.
mhm. And is there a difference between them?
Well, there's no difference in the halacha of what happens, but there's a difference in how we explain the halacha. In
Okay.
terms of whether he acquired it or didn't acquire it, and whether it's a fine or not a fine.
Mhm.
Well, actually, I take that back. You can't say he acquired it in any case, because you can't acquire the property because the property can't be stolen. If something is stolen, it's possible that it can be acquired. But if it can't be stolen, then it can't be acquired.
Mhm.
So the only issue is whether Rebbe Meir makes a distinction based on the fact that he was an Am Haaretz. And there's two subcases to that, which is that maybe he was an Am Haaretz, but he knew that it was stolen properly, in which case he's still doing something wrong, as opposed to if he's an Am Haaretz and he didn't know it's stolen property, then he's done nothing wrong.
Mhm.
If he's a Torah scholar, actually you have two cases there too. He's a Torah scholar and he didn't know it was stolen property, but he does know that. Well, if he doesn't know it's stolen property, then what's the what?
If you can't steal land, so how can you be a gozel?
Right. Oh, how can you guzzle it? No, it's you can steal it, but it's not in the category of something that's been stolen. The Torah does not consider it to have been stolen for the purposes of acquisition. I don't really fully understand that. Maybe we should ask the rabbi to clarify that.
When we get to rabbi,
If he ever
we
comes back.
haven't got a rabbi. I'll give him a call.
Well, I presume he's trying to get back.
Yeah.
He knows
Oh, we
the-
can't call him, can we?
Not if he's trying to use his phone to contact.
Right. Right. You haven't got anything on your screen, have you? Since you're the host? Have you got any evidence of him trying, or
No, I don't see him trying.
would you?
If he makes an attempt to connect, I'll see his request and I just click on it and then he comes in.
Uh-huh.
But if he's trying, but he's not connecting for some reason, then I won't see it. I don't see that he's trying somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's trying, he's not connecting at all.
That could be.
So what do we got there? Oh. We saw a film, we saw the same results. We then improved it. It's now in position as it is in the price of water when the buyer.
Okay, here he comes.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello, welcome back again.
We had
Yeah.
a discussion while you were gone, and we'd like to ask you if you can clarify, what does it mean to say it's property cannot be stolen? And yet we're talking about a case where property was stolen.
What we mean to say that property can't be stolen, it means that the property remains in the legal possession and ownership of the owner.
Hmm.
In other words, when it comes to a movable item of property, what we call metaltalin, there's such a thing as a goslin stealing the property and making the acquisition if he changes the nature of the stolen article, or if the owner is miyayish, the owner despairs from ever finding the article, a combination of the two. And in addition, if he sells it, the goslin, to a third party, then that's called the shinu rishus, the change of venue. So various combinations of these factors will result in a kinyan of that stolen article by someone that did not originally own the article. So that's called, and that is in the halacha. That's the halacha, right? Masha'en kain, which is not the case when it comes to karka. Chazal understood that the Torah says that in regard to karka eino nigzelis. Karka cannot be stolen, meaning to say that it's not enough simply that a Goslin comes to somebody and removes him from the field forcibly. And so in that sense, he's stolen the property. It's not called stealing anything. I mean, we could call him a Goslin, but the ownership of the property is not affected by the fact that this Goslin is now occupying the property, and even if he sells it to a third party, and even if the owner is Meyayish. So in such a scenario like that, you've got a number of different factors which should produce a kinyan on behalf of the buyer. But we say that only in regard to metaltalin. We say that only by movable property. But by karka, we say karka einu nigzeles. So in this case, in other words, the Talmud Chacham knows this halacha, so he knows that the land that he is, so to speak, buying from this Goslin who's selling it to him, he knows that halachically the land still belongs to the original owner. So he knows that when he's improving the property, he's improving stolen property. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to someone else. So therefore, therefore, this is not the case for us to prove that a Goslin b'shogeg nevertheless has to pay back as a knas the appreciated value that he put into the stolen item. This person's not a shogeg.
So if the buyer does not know that the item was stolen, does that make him a Goslin b'shogeg?
So that was what I was discussing. That the Gemora doesn't explain the brisa in that way. The Gemora doesn't explain that aren't we talking about a case? In order to get out a case of a Goslin b'shogeg, that the buyer bought the property from the Goslin, are we not talking about a case where he doesn't know that the person that he's buying from is not the owner? So I asked, why didn't the Gemora choose that case? He doesn't know that this person's not the owner. And like that, the Gemora would not be able to rebut the proof. Wouldn't be able to say, well, he's a Talmud Chacham. So what? I mean, it doesn't. He still didn't know. He didn't know that the person that he bought it from was a Goslin. Thought he was the owner. Oh, 1 second over here. Maybe I have over here something from the Rajba. That's 1 second. Let's see. I have here a note attributed to the Rajba over here on this Gemara. it says over here like this: Kamo kein yochol haya hamakshin loimar my love b'shalo hikir bo she'eno shalo v'lokcha v'af al pi kein konsu chachamim shelo yitol b'shebach el shekein haya derech haTalmud shemakshin margish mashiyochol hametaretz lidchoso mekevin she'omad hatartzim lidchos L'amid b'talmud chacham hikdim amakshin b'shal my love v'amaoret. Okay, let's try to translate this. Okay, so it says to the Rashba, similarly, it was possible for the makshin, the one who's asking the question, to say, instead of what it says in the Gemora, my love, that this person who is being penalized over here is an Ama'aret, that he didn't know that Karka cannot be stolen, and that in fact it belongs to the original owner. And he made a mistake over here. He thought that he could buy the property because he's an Ama'aretz. He didn't know. There's the Rashba. The Gemora could have asked a different, could have made a different point over here. Why didn't the Gemora say, like we are asking? I think. Why didn't the Gemora say, "My love, do we not have here a case of a buyer who did not recognize this person that he's buying from as being a Goslin? My love, b'shalo hikirbo she'ena shalo v'lokcha." He didn't realize that this person that was selling him the property didn't belong to him. Ve'afal pikein konsu chachamim shelo yito b'shevach. And nevertheless, you see that was that even though he's not a Goslin himself, he's just buying it from this person who he didn't realize did not own the property. Nevertheless, the Chachamim made a knas over here that he should not take the appreciated value of the property. He's going to have to pay that, and then collecting it from the one that sold him the property. That's the proof, says the Gemora, that it must have been that the original owner was able to recover also the appreciated value of the property that the buyer did in the property. So why didn't the Gemara ask that question? Now, this answer that the Rashba gives is quite a unique answer. We'll call it that. I'll just read you the words and I'll let you say what you have to say about it. There's the Rashba. Why not? Kain hi derech ha-Talmud. This is the way of the Talmud. Yeah, what's the way of the Talmud? Shehamakshin margish b'mashi yochol hamataretz l'dchoso. That the one who asks the question, and we're calling him the makshin, but really he's the one who's providing the proof to answer the question. I don't know why he calls him a makshin. Anyway, but it's definitely the one who's saying my love. He said this my love because he felt that the one that was the responder would be able to successfully make a response that would disprove his love.
His what?
ומכיוון שעומד התרצן לדחוס ולהעמיד בתלמוד חכם, and since the answerer was able to push off this suggestion that he was an Ama'aret, and say no, we're talking about that he was the Bryce was talking here about someone who's a Talmud Chacham, and And so therefore, that's why the one who the Makshin said, my love, that he's an Amma Aretz. Now, I don't know, I'm have to confess here, I don't know what the Rajba is answering to this question that he has over here. It seems to me he has a bomb of a question on the Gemara, and his answer, I don't understand what the answer is that he's answering over here. Like the one that was saying my love, he wanted to make sure that his opponent would be able to answer his my love. Why should he want to do that? He wants to prove his case. He wants to make a proof that it's a proof. Why should I don't understand the Rashba. But I see that he asked our question. That's what I see. He asked our question. Why did not the Gemara say a case where the shalo hikir bo she'eno shalo v'lokcha? He did not know that this person did not own the land, and so therefore he bought it from him. In I don't know, in somewhat good faith and some type of a assumption that he must be the owner. If I don't know that he's not the owner, it must be that he is the owner. I don't know. Is that the way you would buy property? That's not the way I would buy property.
Well, Rabbi, I think our time is up.
Okay, very good.
Tomorrow.
All the best.
See you later, Lou.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And Bezrat Hashem,
Have a
we'll
great
have
day.
internet tomorrow.
At 10 to
Bezrat
4.
Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, yes. Oh, Lou, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back my internet. I have no way to. I'm not able to communicate with my my internet carrier. So if you want to just assume that you're going to be hosting a meeting, can you host a meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, Yemir Hashem, I'll host tomorrow.
Okay.
Everybody should come to my link.
I'll be at the
Yeah.
doctor.
So
tomorrow.
everybody. Yeah. So then we could. Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much, Lou, for hosting yesterday's and today's and tomorrow's meeting. A round of applause for Lou.
Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
See you at 4 o'clock, Lou. I'll be
All the best.
I'll be at the doctor's tomorrow.
All right. Take care.
Bye.